Jimmy Butler's not a number one. Ja Morant can't put down the guns, and Zion Williamson is having too much fun. All that and much more right here on the third episode of SparkCast Media. I'm your host, Austin Bradley, joined by my co-host, Brian Sparkman. Brian, what do you think about Zion Williamson having all this fun?
First, I want to say, great intro. A little outrageous, but great. Yeah, he needs to keep it on the court because he can't stay on the court healthy, but he can stay in the sheets healthy, apparently.
Hey, or not healthy. We don't know yet. We don't know his personal, what's going on with him. Obviously, he's only played, I think the ratio of games he's played is like 1 to 3. Like for every one game he plays, he misses 3. So definitely needs to take a different approach going forward in the NBA. But speaking of the NBA, last time we left off, we talked about Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Well, we only have one game to talk about in the NBA Finals because, as I said at the beginning, Himmy Butler, Himmy buckets, Himmy no buckets. He's not a number one, and he could not get the job done against the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic. So, how are you feeling about your favorite team, the Miami Heat, coming up very short in the NBA Finals?
I love that we made it. The culture is still there and everything. I'm kind of glad we lost it because, they were saying that Dame might not come if we win. I'm hoping we get Damian Lillard. And if we get Damian Lillard, that would be different because I know how he is and he'll fit in well with that culture with Jimmy and Bam. And if we have to get rid of Tyler Hero, so be it.
Well, let's not jump the gun on that one. We do have that talk coming up a little bit later, but let's talk about Game 5. The Nuggets beat the Heat 94-89. Nikola Jokic is the first player in NBA history to have 500 points, 250 rebounds, and 150 assists in a single postseason. So he was utterly dominant. So I can't really fault the Heat for coming up short, even though, I was kind of dogging on Bam before we talked about, or before the finals started. And now I'm dogging on Jimmy Butler because I don't think actually he can be a number one. Do you think he could be a number one option on a championship team?
I think he could. I feel like Jimmy could be a number one option on a championship team. He proved it through, the semis, the Eastern Conference Finals.
But he didn't prove it because they're not a championship team. I'm saying, do you think he'd be a number one on a team that will win a championship?
Yes, I strongly believe so. I mean, it sucks that this year wasn't our year, but I know he could be a number one on a championship winning team.
Okay. I don't agree with that. I think if you look at the finals in particular, that series was really not good for Jimmy Butler. I think he got burnt out after doing a lot of work to get there. Obviously, the first round against the Bucks, amazing. Second round against the Knicks, he did really good, and he basically duplicated those numbers against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. But then you get to the finals, and he's much worse in terms of how he played. And I don't know if that's because Aaron Gordon is just a lot bigger than the people he played before that, because he didn't really play Giannis in round one except for a couple games.
Mm-hmm.
Tatum isn't as big as Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon's big and strong.
Yeah.
Maybe that threw him off a little bit. What do you think about that theory that because he played Aaron Gordon, maybe that's what threw him off a little bit?
I don't think that's the case. I mean, because he went against Robert Williams, and Robert Williams is about as big as Aaron Gordon.
Bam went against Robert Williams.
Okay,
and he really played up against Al Horford more because they refused to play Robert Williams for some reason. I'm talking about the person specifically who Jimmy Butler was guarding, because he guarded, I don't even know who was in for the Bucks when Giannis was out. And I don't even know who he guarded on the Knicks.
I believe it was Bobby.
Okay. And I don't even know who he guarded on the Knicks. That was because they're not really that, that guy. I mean, he went and he guarded Tatum against the Celtics.
Yeah.
But Tatum still went off. I just don't know if Jimmy can be the number one. Like, he has a good mentality, right? He wants to guard a really good player. But to be a number one, you have to go out there and perform offensively the whole game.
Yeah.
That's not Jimmy Butler's game. Jimmy Butler is a two-way player. He loves to get dirty on defense.
Mm-hmm.
And he shows up in the fourth quarter. 100% shows up in the fourth quarter. You need a number one who's going to show up in all four quarters, or at least 1 through 3, and let Jimmy take over in the fourth. I just don't think that's Jimmy's game. That's why I don't think he could be a number one on a championship-winning team.
I think he could. I feel like, obviously, I feel like throughout the playoffs, he just got burned out. Like you said, that's what happened in the bubble. He went on a tear, and then when it came to the finals, you saw it was like the famous image of him knelt down underneath the hoop, holding like gasping for air, that's basically how it was this year for him again, and I kind of wish that we had what the Nuggets have, they have Jamal Murray score, Nikola Jokic can score too. Those are solid 1-2 punches, and then plus the pieces they have around them. KCP can score, Michael Porter can score, with point because he is shaky, and Aaron Gordon is just he's just there to he's just physical, like he's a freaking nature. He jumps out the gym with his size. He jumps out the gym. I wouldn't doubt if he had like a 40-inch vertical. He's explosive.
He is.
But I mean, with our roster and everything, I feel like Jimmy Butler could be a number one option and still could be a number one option. We just need another punch, like a 1-2 punch. Bam is not like offensively, how talented Jokic is. And I'm not saying Butler's equivalent to Jamal Murray because those are two different games. Jamal Murray is really good offensively. He's good at his craft. Jimmy Butler works for his buckets. That's the two differences between them two. But to go on the point, I feel like Jimmy Butler can be a number one option still, even if Dame came. Honestly, that's a hot take right there. I say Dame would be number one option, but there'll be games where Jimmy Butler's gonna be number one option too.
Okay, that's actually perfect to my point about. Well, I want to get back to Bam in a second, but I want to take that. I didn't want to jump ahead, but now that you said that, I want to go ahead and talk about Damian Lillard and Jimmy Butler on the same team. Damian Lillard, I think we both can agree, he's more of the guy that I was saying. He's going to be on all four quarters. He's going to be scoring the points, quarters 1 through 3, and Jimmy's going to be playing great defense, and then he's going to take over the fourth quarter. That's what they need. That's why I say Jimmy Butler can't be a number one, because I think to be a true number one, you have to I have to show up the whole game. And there was games in the finals and even games in the Eastern Conference Finals where Jimmy Butler was not showing up as much as he was in the first round.
Yeah, he was like, I totally agree. Like, he was like non-existent, and then when the fourth quarter came, the last couple minutes of the game, you just see him bucket, get fouled, free throws, bucket, shooting fadeaway threes, stuff like that. It was just like, you didn't see it through the first 3 quarters, and then now you're seeing it in the fourth quarter where it matters. But like against the Nuggets, it didn't matter. We were down double digits. We were always down double digits going in any playoff series, or not series, but game. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean they did make it respectable at the end of Game 5, 94-89. That's respectable.
Yeah, it was respectable. They went on a run like how they do every game,
every single game, and obviously we've seen. It only gets you so far.
Yeah.
And if you look at the Nuggets, like you said, Jokic can score. Jokic is also a generational passer for a big man. Probably maybe the best we've ever seen. And, you got Jamal Murray, who I would say now it's a superstar. He's still a little bit borderline on that one. Then you got really, really, really good role players, and that's in quotes, because you got Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., who they're role players on that team, but they're really, really good.
Yeah,
they're really, really good role players. Then you also have traditional role players like KCP and Bruce Brown, who they're there to score.
And Bruce Brown just declined his offer.
Hey, yeah, maybe he goes somewhere else. Maybe he goes and helps the Heat.
I think they only offered him like $6 million or $9 million, something like $6 or $9 million or something like that. He can easily get more than that on another team.
I mean, yeah, maybe with like the Hornets or something. I mean, on a championship team, he's not going to get more than that because he is a role player. Like he did really, really good for his role, but he is a role player.
Yeah, but he can start. I feel like he can start on a bad team.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people can start on a bad team. That's the point. Like if he wants to stay with,
I wouldn't say a lot of people. I don't know.
A lot of the good role players on championship teams could go to a bad team and start.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Look at Terry Rozier when he was on the Celtics. They weren't a championship team, but they were a really good team. He goes to the Hornets and he's starting and he's doing really well. He needs to get out of Charlotte, first of all.
Yeah, he does. That's a waste of talent.
Yeah. But
As of right now.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? But back to Bam though, because I had this down. Because I kind of anticipated you saying Jimmy Butler was he was good enough to be number one.
I knew you were.
So do you think? I guess you already answered it, but is Bam a strong enough two for the Heat to win a championship?
No.
Elaborate more.
No, it's just obvious. You know, you watch him play. You know, he struggles sometimes hitting those inside looks that he easily gets, like those one-handed floaters he gets, those easy stuff that he should easily put in the basket, but he doesn't. He showed up a little bit in the finals with those key but he just needs to get better in his offensive game. He's a stout defensively. He can guard 1 through 5. He can move his feet. He can jump out of the gym. He just needs to get better on his offensive low post game. That's what he's struggling with, is just hitting those inside looks. And that's why, we had games where and I feel like to be an NBA final team, you need to score over 100 points.
I mean, the Nuggets didn't score over 100 points.
They were close every game, or they hit it every game.
Well, yeah. I mean,
we weren't really close. I think we scored over 100 points one game, and I think that's even like saying that that's lucky, because I don't even think we scored over 100 points in a game in the finals.
Yeah, I think it was just the one. But I'm saying, like, in the game 5 the Nuggets won, they only scored 94. I mean, but they were just like, we're just gonna outdo you. So they let the Heat kind of set the tone, and they just responded.
Yep.
But I actually think Damian Lillard to the Miami Heat is the best case scenario for the Miami Heat, because Miami has Jimmy Butler, who, like I said, a great defender. I think he is a superstar, but I don't think he's the number one option on a team just the way his game is. I also agree with you with Bam. I don't think he's a strong enough number 2, because he's more defensive minded as well. If you go out and you get Damian Lillard, which that's the big rumor right now is between the Heat and another team. I'm not sure.
There's another team out east, I think near us, like the Heat. Like I want to say Wizards or Charlotte's or.
I don't know. I don't think you would want to go there.
No, I don't. I don't know, but I know it's a team out east.
Anyway, the number 1 team linked to him is the Miami Heat. If you get Damian Lillard, he's the number 1 scoring option. He's going to go out there. He's going to get his buckets. He doesn't even have to play super hard on defense either.
No.
Because you got Jimmy and you got Bam. They're going to play super hard on defense.
And we have those other guys. Those are role players that, not except for Max Strus and whoever. I think we're going to have to give away Tyler Hero, because Tyler Hero, it will suck to see him go. But, when you're ever getting a superstar like Damian Lillard, it kind of patches the heel really quick.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and that's really the only piece that the Miami Heat have that would be enticing to another team, because he's young and he still has a lot of time to develop. So I think you probably will have to. If you don't give up Tyler Hero, though, that's like,
please.
I don't know. It depends on the other things in the trade. But you have it in the scenario where you get Damian Lillard and you don't give up Tyler Hero. You have Dame, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, Bam, and whoever else you want to put in there. At the 4, or even get a true 5 and have Bam play the 4.
Oladipo we still have.
Yeah, he was hurt this whole year, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like Oladipo.
I love Oladipo. Little Indiana boy right there.
Yes, sir. Anyway, though, congratulations to the Denver Nuggets on the championship win, the first in franchise history, I believe.
Yep.
Right. Yep. Nikola Jokic, you did it. Congratulations. I was rooting for you the whole time. The whole playoffs, I was rooting for you.
Yeah. Oh no, you weren't.
You have no proof of that. I was rooting for him. So now that the finals have wrapped up, the NBA offseason is always a big point of discussion. The first thing I want to get out of the way, though, Ja Morant is suspended for 25 games at the beginning of the season.
And I just want to say this. I pointed out earlier, whenever you asked me for my prediction, I said 30.
Yes, you did say 30. That's not 25.
I was only 5 games off.
Oh, yes, 5 games is 5 games. That was not correct.
Come on, just give me it, man.
You know what was correct? My prediction of Nuggets winning in 5. That was right on the money, baby. So
that's not as hard as guessing a suspension.
Well, I don't remember what I said, but it was probably better than yours.
Moving on
now. Well, actually, before we move on, I just want to say Nike announced that they will not cut ties with Ja Morant. So Nike's going to keep Ja Morant on after this. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, they said that they're not cutting ties with Ja Morant. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm surprised. Like I feel like I don't know, like if Ja Morant's team said it wasn't a real gun or whatever, but I'm surprised Nike being Nike.
I mean, with the Kyrie Irving situation a few months ago, when he posted that link to a movie that was controversial, they cut ties with him. And I mean, I'm not here to gauge if that's worse or if this is worse. I'm just saying Nike's history, they've cut ties with a player after they've done something off the court that is, not great.
Like even I think like Kobe back in the day, whenever he was going through that the sexual charge or whatever against that woman, I think Nike cut him for obviously for like a couple of days or whatever, but got him back.
Yeah, and that was again over like an allegation when it wasn't proven guilty at that point when they cut ties with him. So I don't know why Nike's not cutting ties with Ja Morant. I mean, I'm happy for Ja Morant. If he can pull his head out of his ass and get his shit together and stop playing with guns, then it's going to be good moving forward because he is a young star in the NBA. But, yeah, I just thought that was a nice little thing to add in there. But the big news, well, one of the big news that we have, maybe the biggest one, the Washington Wizards are finalizing a deal with the Phoenix Suns to send them Bradley Beal for Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, a handful of second-round picks, and multiple pick swaps, and that was from Shams Charania. So, what are your thoughts on the new Big Three in Phoenix? Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker.
All right, so the other day I was thinking, like I was like, that's a downgrade from CP to Bradley Beal because how they play. And then I was thinking more about it later that day, and I was like, I think that might be the best case scenario, and plus they might be better because one, Kevin Durant didn't play the whole season. They were fighting injuries, I believe, with CP2 during the season. So I feel like you got healthy, you got younger. I guess you can say a little bit healthier because Bradley Beal does have injuries.
Yeah, I mean he missed a pretty big chunk of time before this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
and I can't wait to honestly watch Bradley Beal play. I haven't watched Bradley Beal play in forever. It feels like.
Yeah, because he's been trapped in Washington.
Yeah. And it's gonna be nice because we're gonna see him on a good team and see how he does with other superstars, with other generational superstars. I'll put Devin Booker as a generational superstar. He's proven it.
I mean, that's an argument for another time, but I don't know about this move for the Suns. I mean, you got all your salary cap wrapped up into 4 players.
Yeah.
And they're not particularly known for their defensive play.
Not one bit, and it's so scary from the center position with Ayton, because that's a position you need defense.
Yeah, so my question is, who's going to play defense on this team? Because, yeah, you can go out and you can score 120 points a game.
They about to be scoring 140.
If you're not playing defense, the other team's going to score just as much, if not more, especially when you get to the playoffs. In the regular season, they're gonna do really good. They're going to have a great record.
I say all three of them are going to average, or Bradley Beal might average a little bit under 25, but I say definitely KD, Book, over 25 points per game. Bradley Beal, over 20 points per game.
Oh, for sure. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're averaging all these points, nobody's playing defense. Who's playing defense? Who's stopping the other team from scoring? I think this team, as it stands right now, because there's rumors of the Phoenix Suns trading DeAndre Ayton to get more cap space and more depth, which they need depth, because I think they only have 5 people under contract right now. So they're going to be great in the regular season as it stands right now. But when it gets to the playoffs, I just don't know if you're going to be able to successfully compete with these other teams in the West.
That's a fair point. And, with their offense, and, honestly, this is, I feel like a team in NBA history in the past 10 years, I forgot what team it was. It was, they were bad at defense. They were one of the worst teams on defense. But they were still in the top five rankings because they were one of the best teams on offense. And this is probably gonna be one of those teams. It's so, I hate it, but they're all 3 buckets, and plus Ayton's he's such a rocky hill, and I really wanted them to get Miles Turner. Miles Turner would have been a way better fit. And honestly, if they would have had that, Miles Turner, there would have been no question about that team, I feel like.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I saw that there were a very high interest from the Indiana Pacers in DeAndre Ayton as they're moving towards this new era of the Pacers.
Mm-hmm.
They said that, I forget the source of it right now, but the Pacers feel that Miles Turner isn't in their future plans. So there is a potential where a trade for DeAndre Ayton for Miles Turner could happen.
June 30th, right?
June 30th is when free agency starts. Trades can happen after that still. But that's when trades become official. So this trade will become official on June 30th.
Okay.
So there's still a chance that they could get Miles Turner. And if that happens, we might have to come back with a different conversation about this team. But as it stands right now, with Bradley Beal being added to Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Ayton, do you think this team can win a championship?
No. I unless they make a move for a defensive guy, the defensive center, hopefully Miles Turner, or, because my guess is, and we talked about this the other day, the starting 5, who's it going to be? No one gives rat's ass about the 5th guy. We all care about those top 4 players right there. Who's going to play the point? I say Bradley Beal's going to be playing the point. Number 2, who's going to be playing the 2? Book.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just depending on who you're going to get on your wings. If you get kind of a smaller wing or whatever, you're putting KD at the 4. If you get a big, or you're putting KD at the 3. Ideally, I love KD at the 3. KD at the 3, I feel like he's a bucket. At the 4, he's still a bucket, but I feel like he's a little bit of liability on defense at that rate, because you're going up against 4s, your Aaron Gordons, your Giannis's,
or you get another wing player who has size to him that's defensive minded, and you put them on the big star,
that's
time star players.
Yeah, I don't even know who I can like think of. Like I think they have Torrey Craig, right? Still.
I mean, he was on the team. Yeah.
I think that he was starting for them at the end of the season. I think that he played their 3. He's all right.
I honestly think that I agree with you that this team as it is won't win a championship because it reminds me a lot of the Brooklyn Nets big 3. Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving. Now,
I thought you were talking about KD and Kyrie and Ben Simmons.
No, the original big 3, because those 3 in Brooklyn, they can all score. They're all buckets. All right, and I know there was some off the court things with Kyrie, and he sat out a little bit and all this stuff.
And Harden and KD were beefing, I believe.
But at the end of the day, they didn't make it past the second round in the playoffs, and it's Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. Kevin Durant has won multiple rings. Kyrie Irving's won a ring. James Harden never has. But you still have championship pedigree, and James Harden is a superstar, or he was at the time, even if you don't think he is now. It reminds me a lot of that. Maybe it's because Kevin Durant's involved, and I've already seen him, go to a team with a big 3 that has failed. And it's not like he has Steph Curry, who's a generational talent, to carry him. And that's what happened because Steph Curry has carried the Warriors again to a championship just 2 years ago. And Klay Thompson was worse. Draymond Green was worse. They didn't have Kevin Durant. So we have to start having a conversation about Kevin Durant not really being that great.
Yes, I feel like he's great.
He's a great player, but in all time, people are putting him on levels I don't think he deserves to be at right now because he's only won with Steph Curry, generational talent, revolutionized the game because now people are shooting more threes, and it's basically all the game is now is threes.
Yeah, basically, like when we talk about the draft, more than half these players, they can shoot.
That's because they're starting to develop a 3-point shot at a young age. I'm not saying Kevin Durant isn't a great player. Maybe still even, top 25, maybe. But some people are putting him in top 10, even top 5. I've seen some people put him in there.
Of all time?
Of all time.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well, we've got to start having a conversation about it because people are they get so caught up on Kevin Durant because he is really fun to watch play. He's one of my favorite players to watch play, actually, but the results aren't there without Steph Curry and the Warriors. Then he goes to Brooklyn and he tries to form another big 3 super team kind of thing, and they fail. Now he's here in Phoenix. We'll see how it works out, but I honestly do not think they're going to be able to win a championship with this team.
The difference between this big 3 and the Nets big 3, I want to point out, is Kyrie is a big liability on defense, and so is Harden. Harden's probably the biggest liability on defense at that time. Now he's gotten a little bit better because he's on a team with just him and Joel. Whenever he went to the Nets, he felt like he didn't need to play defense because they had all that scoring and stuff like that. And it was the same way with the Rockets too. Towards the end, it was lack of defense. But I have to say, whenever it does come up time with him for defense, he does step up at some points.
Well, yeah, that's James Harden though. This team, I can say the same thing about Devin Booker. I can say the same thing about Bradley Beal.
What I want to say is that Devin Booker is a better defensive player than Harden, and Booker will do it on a more consistent rate than Harden. Beal is a better defensive player than Kyrie. And when I say better, there is with Harden, it depends. I feel like Booker is a pretty good defensive player when he is really trying on defense. And I feel like he tries on defense all like not like I would say all the time. I would say all the time because he's a tryhard. But
Okay.
but the difference I want to say is between the Nets and the Nets big three and right now big three is the defense. The defense now is better with KD around the KD's team than the Nets was.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that, especially right now, because we haven't seen them play. And like I said, Devin Booker, you don't think of him as a defensive guy who tries on defense like I would a Jimmy Butler type.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't.
You don't think of Bradley Beal as a defensive player type. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Durant, definitely don't think of him as a defensive player.
No.
DeAndre Ayton, definitely don't think of him as a defensive player.
After his performance against Jokic, no.
No, exactly. And that's 4 of the 5 players they have on the roster. I don't even remember who the 5th person is. It don't even matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. No.
But 4 of the 5 players that we know not playing defense at a high level. Now, like I said, in the regular season, 82 games, they're going to score. I don't know if all these players are going to be on the court at the same time, but there's going to be most likely at least one of them on the court at a time. Depending on the depth and the roster behind them, they're probably going to have a really good regular season. My thing is, it's already hard to beat a team 4 times. If you're not playing defense and you win game 1, you win game 2, we know their tendencies now. We're going to just dunk on them. And that's how I feel looking at this roster right now, is it's not going to be a very competitive playoff team. Maybe if they play, an 8 seed in the first round, okay, they're an 8 seed. When you get to the second round, you're playing a 4 or 5. Oh, I don't know, it's going to be close. If you get past that 4 or 5, and you happen to play the 2 or 3 seed, who is another really good team, maybe it's the Nuggets. Maybe it's the Lakers.
Clippers.
I don't know about the Clippers.
You can't rule out the Clippers.
Well, we have some Clippers talk a little bit later. But you know what I'm saying? If it's the Lakers, if it's the Nuggets, these teams are going to beat the Suns because they do have people that are playing defense on that team, but they also have people who are scoring on that team. That's my biggest takeaway from this. If they need to trade DeAndre Ayton, they need to get more depth. They need to have, a smaller salary cap. It just needs to happen because if they don't, it's just going to be another failed Big 3 experiment.
Yeah, it will be. But I feel like they can score, and that's going to win. I feel like they're not going to win a championship off that, but they're gonna fucking score. They're gonna put the ball in the basket.
Yeah, but you already know the old cliche. You already know what I'm about to say.
Defense wins championships.
Defense wins championships.
I have a question for you. What do you think that's going to be the biggest kryptonite for the Suns? Which team in the West?
I mean, the Nuggets, probably, just based off right now, because they're such a deep team, especially if they keep all their main pieces together.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be, like I said, if they keep Ayton, that's the Suns. Outside of defense, that's their number one problem is no depth.
Mm-hmm.
Because the new CBA, they'll be over the second level, which means they don't get a mid-level exception. So they'll literally just be signing minimum deals with people. Now you might be able to get some people to accept a minimum to try and win a championship, but you're not going to get a whole team's worth of people to do that.
G League players.
Yeah, you're going to be signing minimum players, and you're going to get minimum results for this money. So, I mean, probably the Nuggets is their biggest kryptonite, but I think Lakers probably beat them. You said the Clippers if they stay together. Clippers.
I want to say the Clippers are going to be the biggest kryptonite. Like you have Russell,
If he stays.
Yeah, if he stays. I think he is.
I think he is too, but if he stays, because he is an unrestricted free agent.
You have Kawhi, Paul George, Zubac, the other Morris twin,
Mark. Wait. No, he's not there anymore.
Oh.
Right?
I thought he's...
No, he was just part of that trade we're going to talk about after this.
Oof. But yeah, No, it's I feel like that's their biggest kryptonite because all three of those guys I mentioned, not Zubac, but Russell, Kawhi, Paul.
Yep.
All three they can do.
Play defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think we kind of agree on the Suns sentiment. They need to get rid of DeAndre Ayton. They need to get more money, get more depth. But it was just breaking news today as we were preparing for this recording. Kristaps Porzingis has been traded to my Boston Celtics in a 3-team trade. The Celtics will receive Kristaps Porzingis, who is opting into his $36 million player option for this season. The Clippers will receive Malcolm Brogdon, while the Wizards get Marcus Morris, Amir Coffey, Danilo Gallinari, and a 2023 number 30 overall pick from the Celtics. So, I just think we found our Eastern Conference champions for next year. What do you think about this move for the Boston Celtics getting Kristaps Porzingis?
That's a power move. That was a huge power move for you guys. Now, like, get rid of Al Horford, slap Robert at the 5, put Kristaps at the 4, and let JT go back at the 3, JB at the 2. If you guys keep JB,
I think we're definitely keeping JB this year. They've already said that.
And then Marcus Smart at the 1.
That's the team to beat in the East now, I think. Unless Miami gets Dame, then we're going to see another Miami-Boston conference finals, I think.
I don't think Milwaukee is going to be a team. Like, if they lose Middleton, that's a punch.
Yeah, I don't believe they're going to lose Middleton. But even if they keep Middleton, they're most likely going to lose Brook Lopez, who's an unrestricted free agent this year.
And that's still a punch.
That's a big punch. And, the Celtics already were a really good team. They added another piece in Kristaps Porzingis. I don't know. I'm optimistic because I'm a Celtics fan, and I already said this off the podcast to you. I think Kristaps Porzingis will be a great fit in Boston. So now that it's actually happened here, I'm excited for it.
I would be too if I was a Celtics fan. I don't blame you. Kristaps is a great player. He got the hate at the end of the Knicks, like whenever he was like towards the end of the Knicks, and then he got hate for the Mavericks because him and Luka didn't click together, which was stupid. I feel like Kristaps is a great player, a unicorn, and it's hard to find a 7'1" player that can shoot, and there's about to be one entering the draft, and everyone's craving over him.
Yeah, Kristaps got a lot of hate with the Knicks and the Mavericks, like you said. Then he goes to Washington on a bad team, and he has a really great year. And he proved that he can still be a guy.
And no one talked about him much.
No one really talked about him. But that also, no one really talked about Bradley Beal a lot before, too, because Washington is just that bad.
I remember the days whenever Washington was a good team with John Wall, Bradley Beal, and they had the Martin Gortat. You remember him?
Yeah, I remember him.
Oh yeah, like that old Wizard team was good, and now now you look at the Wizards, they're not talked about. They don't get any TV time. It's unfortunate, and I don't even know. Like after they lost Bradley after they lost Bradley and Kristaps, I don't know like a player from the Wizards, like a star player from the Wizards now.
Well, and they traded away Bradley Beal and Kristaps Porzingis. Kyle Kuzma also declined his player option.
Oh, they have Kuzma
to stay with the Wizards. Well, not anymore because he declined his player option.
Oh,
so he might still go back, but he also might not. It all depends. But I really like this move for the Celtics. And I also like the move for the Clippers, getting Malcolm Brogdon. Because, you talked about it, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Zubac. They don't really have a point. You got Malcolm Brogdon, who I really think is a good point guard, and it sucks to lose him. But we already have Marcus Smart.
And slap on another defense.
Yeah, exactly. The Clippers, I think they got better. They lost Marcus Morris, which I don't know if that's a huge loss. He definitely added some value to the team. And they also lost Amir Coffey, who I don't really know much about. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if you have any insight on Amir Coffey, but I don't really know him. But other than that, I mean, the Celtics didn't give up anything except for Brogdon, Gallinari, and the 30th overall pick to get Kristaps Porzingis. And we got to keep Robert Williams. I just think it's such a good move for the Celtics getting another star, because we saw in the playoffs Jason Tatum was kind of a one-man team out there. He was doing great. He gets injured, because the Miami Heat are a dirty team. Jaylen Brown has his struggles. Now we get another person who can score in Kristaps Porzingis, and he's not really known for his defense, but a lot of people on the Celtics are known for their defense.
Kristaps is known for his shot blocking ability.
Yeah, shot blocking, but he's 7'1". He's not really known for his defense,
lateral quickness and defense. Yeah,
but he doesn't need to do that because we also got Robert Williams down there with him.
And heck, I mean, you can have Kristaps down there below and Robert on the floor, guarding the floor, because Robert can move his feet.
Exactly. And even, I know I talked bad about Al Horford, or I like Robert Williams more, but even Al Horford's a really good defensive player. The Celtics team, it just looks so good. And we also got to keep Peyton Pritchard, who that was a big talking point that he was going to get traded.
Yeah.
We get to keep Peyton Pritchard so he can slide into that Malcolm Brogdon role off our bench as our backup point. I think the Clippers get better adding Malcolm Brogdon. And Marcus Morris wanted out of there anyway. From what I saw, he was unhappy there.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to win. And he was promised to be winning on the Clippers, and he's not.
Well, I mean, how much of that is Kawhi's fault, though? A lot of it.
And PG.
No, Paul George has been playing, but that team, if they don't have all their players, isn't really that great of a team.
I say PG too. I mean, he needs to step up. When the time gets big, PG doesn't step up anymore. I notice. Whenever he was back in Indy, you saw that boy step up. He was knocking down, competing with LeBron, and then once he got that sense of, stardom, he went to Oklahoma, and that's when you start seeing him starting to fizzle out a little bit. You didn't see that same Indy Paul George. I also remember this. He got hurt. You remember whenever his leg injury?
Yeah.
I think it was like the FIBA international game or something like that.
Yeah, I remember his injury, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that was it, why, or, every player, like a serious injury like that, every player stepped back, like Gordon Hayward. That, like, he was starting to go on a tear. It's a gruesome injury.
Yeah.
And
that sucked because he was on the Celtics at that time.
Yeah, first game of him being in the Celtics, on the Celtics.
Yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying about Paul George. Maybe I'm just a little biased. I really like Paul George.
I love Paul George. Like, I love Paul George, but I just feel like he's starting to fizzle out. And I don't know if it's because of the injury. He does have I'm not going to say he's like washed. He's not washed by any means. He's still averaging over 20 points a game. Yeah, how much of it, though, I can see what you're saying now that Paul George, isn't playing up to what Paul George was playing to in Indy. But how much of that do you think is like mental, that he gets to have his teammate who's a superstar, Kawhi Leonard, sit out, and he's there trying to win, but Kawhi, to everybody in the media, is the number one. How do you think that makes him feel? Maybe that's plays a part of it too. It gets to his psyche. Yeah, I mean, every player is different. I mean, whenever we talk about the draft, with like I've been seeing a lot of things with Victor. He's not shaken at all about this whole entire draft experience at all. He's been entering this thing calm,
Well, I mean, not hard to enter at calm when you're going number one.
Yeah, but I mean, you're still like even LeBron. Like LeBron at that time, he wasn't calm. He was anxious. You know, he's 18. He's a kid. You know, and he's stepping on the biggest stage in the world, about to be playing against the biggest, baddest players. You know, in the world. You know, like he's about to go. He's about to be going up against like okay. I won't say Giannis because Giannis is not in the West, but he's going to be going up against like players like AD, Cat, Gobert. Who anyone else you can think of that's dominant? Like, I mean, Zion, that freak.
He's a freak for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, can you name anyone else that's like I'm not going to name Aiden. Aiden's like, I'm sorry, I don't think Aiden's really of a superstar caliber level.
Jokic.
Oh yeah, thank you for that one.
Yeah, that was a little obvious omission right there. But yeah, back on topic though. I do like it for the Clippers adding Malcolm Brogdon, and I honestly don't hate it for the Wizards. They get Marcus Morris, who he's still a good player. Danilo Gallinari, but they also get the number 30 overall pick, which they need. They're entering a rebuild 100% now, and they need more picks. And I think, a first-round pick is a first-round pick. So number 30, even though it's the last pick of the first, it's still first. You can still get some value out of that if you draft the player or even if you end up trading it, which probably won't trade it. I mean, they might. The draft is tomorrow as we're recording this, but, you still get a valuable piece in that first-round pick. You get a valuable piece in Marcus Morris because I think he's going to want to trade out of Washington and go to a contender. And then you get Danilo Gallinari. All right, we're back after a quick little break here. We just talked about Karl Anthony Towns trade rumors from the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's time to move on to some new trade rumors that I just saw today on June 21st, Wednesday. The Clippers are gauging trade value for Paul George. And we were just talking about the Clippers. Do you think it's smart to move on from Paul George right now for the Clippers?
That's a tough question because, like, I believe they have Norman Powell, which he's not like he's a role player, but that's a tough thing because honestly, for Paul George, and like you mentioned earlier about his psyche and everything, you know, he would like to go to a team where, you know, he is valued, but how he is, he wants to be the number one guy. He can't be a number one guy on a championship team. I'm gonna say that right now. He will be a good number two guy on a championship team, but number one guy, no. And I know it sounds weird because I was the guy that said Jimmy Butler is number one guy on a championship team, but Jimmy Butler is like pushed the whole team to a finals 2 times. He just can't get past that last hump. You know, first time is against Braun. That's tough. Your first finals against Braun, that's tough. Your second time, now everyone's like the Nuggets team is too good. Yeah, they were too good, but there's still no excuse. You know, you made it to the finals for a reason. You're the best out of the East. But yeah.
So you think it's maybe smart to move on from Paul George? Is that basically what you're saying? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't?
Yes. I think it is.
Okay, so you think it's smart to move on from Paul George for the Clippers. My question is, why not move on from Kawhi Leonard? Kawhi is unreliable. You know what they always say? The best ability is availability, and Kawhi is never available.
And
real quick, Kawhi Leonard, his trade value is going to be higher than Paul George's is. Maybe you have a disgruntled star somewhere else that wants to get out of where they're at. Hey, we'll give you Kawhi Leonard for this guy. And you also probably get a pick, 2 picks in return. Just because the name Kawhi Leonard holds a lot of weight in the NBA, because obviously he's a great player. He just isn't always available to play. Paul George, I agree with you. I don't think he could be a number one. But he can be a number one scoring option. But the number one player, it would be a lot like if Paul George went to Miami with Jimmy Butler. Maybe Jimmy Butler could be the number one guy because he's, like I said, two-way defensive, takes over in the fourth. In crunch time, Paul George score points. And he's also not a liability on defense.
No, he's not. He's lengthy and he moves his feet.
So I don't know if I would move on from Paul George. If I'm the Clippers, I might think of moving on from Kawhi Leonard before I get to that point with Paul George.
And I say, why not move from both? Move away from both. Rebuild. You see Paul George can't do it by himself, and you have liability with Kawhi. Trade, get picks, get some players, rebuild for a season or two. Like, there's great players coming out these next couple years.
I could see what you're saying. Move on from both because it's kind of a failed experiment. Or keep both if you trust that Kawhi Leonard is going to be available and get another star or borderline star to team up with them. I just was talking about the big three earlier with the Suns. I don't think that one's going to work out as it stands. But the Clippers, if you added another person to them, that's where it gets, it might work out because you got Kawhi Leonard, former Defensive Player of the Year, who can also get you buckets. You got Paul George, who can get you buckets, but it's also not a liability on defense, and he's pretty decent at defense. If you get that one star who's there, who is just going to score, like if Bradley Beal had gone to the Clippers, that team's scary. I don't know. I think the Clippers, if they do move on from Paul George, it shows that they're scared, that they're failing, and if you just move on from Paul George, you're not going to succeed anyway. That's my take on it, at least.
Well, the thing was with the Clippers, they built that team because Bron and AD formed up.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, Bron and AD produced. They got a championship.
Mm-hmm.
What the Clippers show for all, trying to match up with that? No championships.
Kawhi Leonard playing every so often, taking a few months off at a time. That's what they got to show for it.
They took a huge hit with them two, especially Kawhi. And I say, cut your ties with both of them. Get picks, get some players, and just rebuild. They can easily rebuild. They can easily get so many picks, and if you want, they can honestly get a good player for trading too. But they can get so many picks off the name Kawhi, Paul George.
They could, yeah. I definitely see what you're saying, and I don't know if that's an option for the Clippers, but that's definitely an option for us talking about the Clippers. But the next trade rumor we have involves the New Orleans Pelicans and the Zion situation going on right now. People are talking about trading Zion. That's probably unlikely.
No. It's just okay. That's not even really a off court. It is, but it's not. I feel like the girl like Mariah Mills, the girl that he was doing that with. I feel like she was just bringing up drama, because she's not happy and whatever, and she's trying to ruin someone's career. And
yeah, because she was threatening the Pelicans and Zion, that the Pelicans didn't trade Zion out of New Orleans. She was going to release their sex tape together, which I'm not saying that would necessarily hurt Zion like a whole bunch, but like if you're getting sponsors and everything and you're supposed to be the face of a franchise, that hurts the Pelicans more than it hurts Zion.
Yes.
What would you get for Zion though? That's the thing. Zion's trade value right now is probably the lowest it's been since he's gotten to the NBA. He was another guy kind of like how Victor is this year. He was the consensus number 1 overall pick. He had this name that was leading up. People were getting hyped about him for years.
Yep.
And for him, it hasn't really, paid off for the Pelicans. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Victor. I'm just, they were really hype. There was a lot of hype. And now there's that's okay. There's a little bit of drama. Is he invested in basketball? All these questions. But the Pelicans are interested in trading up for Scoot Henderson. And I know you're a big Scoot Henderson fan.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about the Pelicans wanting to move up for Scoot Henderson? And what do you think they'd have to give up to do so?
I'm sure, and this is a little sneak peek on my little mock draft, I'm sure Portland wouldn't mind having Zion.
Okay, so this is interesting because I saw on Twitter Damian Lillard liked a tweet of some fan saying trade Zion to Portland for the number 3 overall pick. Now, if this does happen, which I think is highly unlikely, that means the Miami Heat aren't getting Dame, but that means the New Orleans Pelicans are getting Scoot. See, that was my biggest question. Who do you trade for Scoot Henderson? Are you going to trade CJ McCollum? I wouldn't.
No.
You gonna trade Brandon Ingram?
No.
I don't think so. You gonna trade Zion? Most likely not. Most likely not.
I mean, if anything, for Scoot, CJ is more likely the option than Brandon Ingram and Zion.
Well, that's the thing, though, is now with everything that's coming out with Zion, they're saying that he doesn't have a relationship with the Pelicans organization, that there's no relationship really there. So there's a lot of damage done to that relationship. You would have to trade up to either pick number 2, which the Hornets have, or pick number 3 for the Blazers, because Scoot's not making it past number 3. That's the lowest he'll go. He's going 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
So you'd have to give up something of value to go and get him. If you trade McCollum, that hurts your team. If you trade Ingram, that hurts your team. If you trade Zion, does it hurt the team?
No, not really. He hardly plays.
That's my point. Like, when he does play, he's great. No one's questioning that. But he barely plays. And there's drama around him. I'm not saying I would, but I'm not saying I wouldn't.
Look, if somehow, some way, there was a trade, and Scoot is Scoot's at New Orleans, that team in the next 2-3 years is going to be crazy, because Scoot is going to develop. CJ's, at his prime right now. Ingram, I think, is at his prime right now.
Well, Ingram's still young enough he could develop another level.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's at his young prime, I should say.
Yeah, he's just starting it.
Yeah. They have Vucevic. Right?
No, he was
Valanciunas. Jonas Valanciunas.
They have Valanciunas.
Yeah, which he's been stepping up for them. Which I've been seeing. He's been stepping up. And they also have Herbert Jones, which he plays the 2. He's young, developing 3-and-D. He's good. He's pretty good. I like him. Lengthy. He's kind of how stereotypical mid first round picks. How they are. Wings wise. But that team's gonna be crazy. They just needed to get a 4. Or hell, they could play small ball, slap Ingram at the 4.
Yeah, that could be a possibility. The only reason I don't think it's going to happen is it's Zion Williamson, and like I was talking about with Kawhi Leonard, that name holds a lot of weight, and that name sells a lot of tickets for the New Orleans Pelicans, who don't really have a history of being great or selling tickets or anything like that.
And it keeps Dame in Portland.
Well, it would keep Dame in Portland if Zion goes. If Zion stays, Dame is out of Portland.
Oh, I know. I'm saying, like, if they trade and Zion goes, Dame's staying.
This could have a domino effect across the NBA. And the last trade rumor, it's just, I want to just touch on it really quickly. The Bulls would be willing to move on from Zach LaVine, but it would take significant value for him. So it would take a lot for them to move on from Zach LaVine, but they're open to it.
I'm surprised. Why? What?
I just think that's how the NBA operates now.
They're not going to be. They're not. The Bulls are not a contender team. No.
Well, I think that's why they're considering it, because Zach LaVine could go to a team and help make them a contender, or if they're already a contender, make them a better contender. But it would take significant value for the Bulls to move on, because he's their star.
They don't even have Vucevic anymore.
Well, I think he's a free agent this year.
Oh, I think they also traded him too.
Did they trade him?
I thought they did. Maybe not.
All right, I'll look that up as you give your thoughts on the Zach LaVine situation.
Zach LaVine, I don't see why they would move away from him. He's a terrific scorer. Him and DeMar fight for number 1, shooting wise. DeMar is a fantastic player. Excellent midi. Sniper for midi. Zach LaVine is so explosive, crafty playmaker, and I don't see why they would go away from him. I would try to get another star player. You know, like that's how I feel about the Bulls. They should get a star player.
Okay, so about Nikola Vucevic, this is from Hoops Hype and from Michael Scotto in particular. It's, quote, the belief among various NBA executives who spoke with Hoops Hype is that Nikola Vucevic, one of the top free agents on the market, will re-sign with the Chicago Bulls. Vucevic projected free agency value, according to those executives, is 3 years and in the $65 million range. So he's expected to re-sign with the Bulls. He was just there. See, I don't think they're trading Zach LaVine, but I think they're opening teams up to call and say, hey, we're interested in Zach LaVine, and see what his value would be.
Who would you get rid of, Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan?
DeMar DeRozan.
I agree. The difference is, I think Zach LaVine's younger, and he can shoot the three better. I'm not saying DeMar DeRozan can't shoot the three. He's excellent, like I said, sniper mid-range shooter. But Zach LaVine can shoot the mid-range too. And he can shoot crazy threes.
Yeah, so the reason I would move on from DeRozan over LaVine is because, like you said, DeRozan is older. And DeRozan, like Zach LaVine, could go help a championship-level team. But probably not cost as much or not command the ball as much as Zach LaVine would.
Yeah.
I really think that DeMar DeRozan should move on from the Chicago Bulls. I don't know if he will, but I think for both parties that would make the most sense.
It would, honestly.
It would make little sense to move on from Zach LaVine at this point, but I think they're just wanting to gauge that, gauge the value for him. So in a future trade, they can say, well, this is offers we have on the table, and try to get more out of it.
Yeah.
So that's all the trade rumors we have down right here. And now it's time for Sparky's exclusive NBA 2023 mock draft with Brian Sparkman.
I'm excited to do this.
All right, let's go kick it off. Can I take a guess at who number one is?
Sure.
There's
a hard one.
A lot of great candidates this year who are going number one. I'm going to have to go with Victor Wembanyama.
Well, actually, I have Victor. Yeah, you're right.
Okay, I was about to say.
Just randomly. Brandon Miller. No, Victor, easy number one. 7'4", stud. You know, they compared him to LeBron James. Number two, Brandon Miller.
Brandon Miller, okay.
Brandon Miller, 3-and-D, shoot the ball, terrific defensive player, can move his feet. 6'9" for a small forward.
Yeah, he got the size to him.
Mm-hmm. And number three, my man, going to be the best out of the draft. Scoot Henderson. Athletic, can shoot here and there, spotty shooter, 6'2", play the point.
Okay. Let's pause real quick. I just want to give a quick review. All right. Number one overall to the San Antonio Spurs, Victor Wembanyama. Number two overall to the Charlotte Hornets.
Yep.
Brandon Miller. Number three overall to the Portland Trailblazers, Scoot Henderson.
As of now.
And you said you believe Scoot Henderson is going to be the best out of this draft?
He's going to be the best out of this draft.
Better than Victor?
Yes, sir.
Better than Brandon Miller?
That's going to be an interesting one.
But it's not going to be interesting to see if he's better than Victor?
You see, I don't think Victor's going to be a bust by any means, but I feel like Brandon Miller has the intangibles and the size for his position. So does Victor. The only thing I'm worried about Victor is getting banged around. He needs how you saw Giannis whenever he got drafted. He developed and he got muscle on him. Now he's a monster.
Yep.
And if that happens to Victor, I feel like his comparison could be David Robinson for his position. If he gets some muscle on him, David Robinson coming out the draft, tank. He was a tank. I don't know if you've seen pictures or seen videos. He was massive. But you go back on my draft 4, going to Houston, Cam Whitmore.
Cam Whitmore, okay.
He had a 40-inch vertical.
Ooh.
He's very athletic.
Okay.
And also, he's able to shoot, and he's 6'6".
So another thing for you. You like those big guys who can shoot, but they're not 7 foot big. They're small enough to get around. They're big enough to body people. Mm-hmm. That's what you like.
6'8" is my ideal size for a wing, like a really good size wing. 6'7", maybe, but ideally 6'8" to 6'9", 10. Number 5, Detroit, Amen Thompson.
You have Amen Thompson, number 5.
Yep.
Okay.
Size, athletic, and he's 6'6".
Yeah, you love those size.
And we're going to talk about his brother. Going right after him, Osir Thompson.
Okay, and that is 2.
Orlando. Orlando. Pace would have been mad at me.
Yeah.
Orlando.
Orlando gets Aswar Thompson.
Number 7 to Indy, Taylor Hendricks. Have you ever heard of him?
I've heard the name. Why don't you run down his game for me?
Really good defender, 6'8". Struggles shooting the ball.
Okay, so he's a defensive-minded player.
High IQ.
High IQ, defensive-minded, just not great shooting. All right, okay.
And the Wizards, getting more picks and stuff like that. I did include their 30th pick in here. Wizards with the 8th pick, Jarius Walker. He's defender, 6'7", and spots of shot, like spots of like being a good shooter. He has his moments. He can hit it. He has his moments. He's like, oh, stop shooting it.
Okay, so when you say that, that makes me think of Michael Porter Jr., where when he's on, but when he's not on, he's not on.
Yeah, just pass it. Just stop.
Okay.
You're hurting the team. Number 9, going to Utah. Kaysen Wallace is kind of like, because I want to say Carson, but Kaysen Wallace.
Kaysen Wallace.
He's playmaker, 6'3", needs to work on his shot. Now, whenever we get later on, I know I said they have shooters. A lot of these people are shooters here.
Okay, so what makes you put Kaysen Wallace this high when you have people who are better shooters later on?
Defenders.
He's that good of a defender?
It's not only that, coming out of the NBA, already know how to defending is key, because you can touch on your offense games. The coaches can help you on offense. You see great players like Kawhi, defensive minded player, and then when he came in the NBA, developed on his offensive game, got way better. Now he's good.
That's true.
Not good. He's great whenever he plays.
Yeah, whenever he plays.
10 Dallas. I talked about him earlier. I was like, why is this guy, Grady Dick?
Grady Dick.
He's the best shooter out of the draft.
Best shooter in the draft.
Best shooter in the draft.
Okay.
He's 6'6".
Oh, you love that.
I said 6'7".
Hey, but you see 6'6" and you say,
well, 6'6", and he plays guard and forward.
Exactly, and he can shoot. I really think...
I think he might slip up even higher, but I have him at 10.
I think Grady Dick could go higher. He could go as high as, the Indiana pick, in my opinion, if everyone stays the same. But I really like his game. I think he's going to be able to be one of these people who contributes in the NBA for a long time, even if he's not a star.
And I say he's going to be slipping to 10 to Dallas.
You think he's slipping?
I think he's slipping to Dallas, and imagine that.
I mean, is he? I don't know. Dallas kind of needs defense.
I mean, they could have easily got defense with before they got Kyrie, but they got Kyrie because they needed defense before that.
That is true. All right, I'll let you continue on with your mock draft.
Who do you think Orlando needs at 11? Like, not person, but position wise.
And they took who they take earlier? Tell me real quick.
Alcier Thomas, guard forward.
Okay. So he's a guard forward.
Yep.
Is he more? Would you say he's more guard or more forward?
Guard.
Okay. So with that in mind, I would say they need a forward or a big man.
We got him. Jet Howard. Going 11 to Orlando. He's a forward. Jet Howard. He's a shooter, and he's 6'8".
There it is.
You know what he lacks though?
What does he lack?
Defense.
No defense. 6'8" can't play defense.
That's going to be a problem.
That is going to be a problem.
But we'll see if he improves his defense. I actually think he will. He has the size, obviously, and he's a shooter.
All right. Well, I think that is a good pickup for them there.
Oklahoma City got Anthony Black, guard. You've heard of Anthony Black.
I have heard of him, yes.
Good IQ and playmaker. 6'6". He's kind of a weak shooter. Something that, can touch up. And I'm sure Oklahoma can touch up too. They have Shea, Josh Giddey, and then they're going to be having Anthony Black coming off the bench to start off with. And then you never know. In the rotation with Shea and Giddey, because Giddey could play the 3. He's tall enough. And Shea's tall enough to be playing the 2. He's 6'6". Number 13 got Derek Whitehead, guard.
All right. To who?
I wrote down T.O.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
All right. Well, let's break down his game for us here.
So he's scoring ability. He's really good at scoring ability. I've seen his mixtape in high school. He's really good scoring ability. Very athletic. Just how I said how the previous guys were in the early picks. Black's a 3-ball. He's 6'8". When we get in the middle of this draft, you're gonna see there's shooters. And I feel like this draft at the early on is going to be not the shooters that are going to get drafted, except for Grady Dick and Jet Howard. But Grady Dick, is probably going to be the only shooter besides the obvious players that that's going to be drafted kind of fairly early because he can do more than shoot.
All right. I want to point out pick number 13 is the Toronto Raptors.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's why I wrote T.O.D. at Toronto. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Mind me. I'm kind of stupid.
It's okay. You tried your best.
I did. I really did try my best. You're right.
And so far, it's been a very good mock draft. I've enjoyed it so far. So continue on here with the last pick of the lottery, pick number 14.
Number 14, New Orleans. Keontae George.
Okay.
Guard. 3-level scorer. Can shoot. 6'4". He just needs to work on his game a little bit more, if that makes sense. He has it all. He can, he can defend. He can shoot. It's just he needs to just work, Atlanta, 15. Noah Clowney, forward. Really good defender, 6'10". Lacks the shot.
Lacks the shot. Okay, so now I'm assuming this is the area where we're starting to see the players who have high upside but aren't all the way put together.
Yep. I mean, on my 16th pick, got I'm probably gonna butcher this name, and I apologize to this person in advance. Bilal Caleb Bailey.
That sounds good to me.
He's raw, 6'8". He's gonna be one of the surprises in this draft. going to Utah because, Utah, I feel like they need, a good 3, a good, possibly a backup 4, maybe throw Laurie Market in at the 5. I was thinking heavy about that pick, and I was like, I can see them getting like I believe I want to say he's overseas. I might be wrong, but I want to say he's overseas guy, and I know like a lot of these overseas guys are coming in the league now, and they're actually doing really good. This league's turning into a little bit of a Euro league. You got Giannis, Luka, Jokic. Thank you.
Now, Victor coming out this year, number 1.
France, like come on. LA, the Clippers, Bryce. I'm gonna butcher this one. It's a mouthful. Sensabaugh.
Bryce Dunstable.
Yeah, he's a guard. Shooter, 6'6", lax D.
No D.
Number 18, Miami. My boys. We're gonna get Gigi Jackson, forward. Good scorer. Good feel for the game. You can shoot. 6'8".
That's perfect for you.
Oh, never mind. I was wrong. The negative part, feel for the game. He can't feel for the game. Kind of fizzles out. How we're talking about Paul George earlier. Number 19, Golden State, Kobe Buffkin, guard. You've heard of Kobe Buffkin, right?
Yeah, I've heard of all these guys.
Pick and roll. He's really good at pick and roll. 6'4". He kind of lacks out of his draft like athleticism. He lacks a little like out of everyone, because this draft is pretty athletic, and we're going to be seeing a lot of more athletic drafts, because players nowadays.
A lot of drafts recently and coming up. The athletes they're going high, even if they're maybe not the best player right now. And you see this kind of also in the NFL draft.
Yep,
athletes are going because you can teach them the game, but you can't teach athleticism.
No, you can't. No, and that's the thing is like these players that got drafted in the top 20. I think more than half of them, I said they couldn't shoot. And then whenever I got to the end of the draft, I'm like, so he has a shot. He's a good shooter.
And also, if you're at the front of the draft, though, you are most of the time looking for that person who has that high ceiling because you want to have the superstar.
Yeah.
But when you get to the end of the draft, you're looking to, all right, who's going to come in and be a role player for us right now?
Who has an impact?
Yeah, who's going to come in and get the shot, or who's going to come in and play D? So yeah, I mean, I can definitely understand that you found more people later on who had a good shot rather than at the beginning.
Number 20 in Houston, Derek Lively, center. I saw his mixtape and a while ago whenever he was in high school. Beast. He's 7'1". I'm just saying that right off the bat. I didn't even look at it. I know he's 7'1". Rim runner. He's kind of like DeAndre DeAndre Jordan. You don't need him to shoot because he's gonna be running rim to rim to rim. He's gonna be guarding that best center, and he's gonna be physical. He's a physical center. His body's already NBA built, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And just a real quick question, because you obviously know more about these prospects than I do. You said he was gonna be a rim runner, so rim to rim. Do you think conditioning is gonna be a problem for him, or
no?
Do you think he's
no?
Okay, he's good.
Yeah. Oh, he's in shape.
All right, that's the only thing I had a question about, because sometimes you have that level of people coming in, maybe they're not having the greatest.
Maybe not. I wouldn't say like NBA full 48-minute shape, but he's in shape. He's probably these later picks. He was easily my favorite prospect besides my second to last pick, which I will get to later on, but he was probably my favorite mid to late draft picks. I would have honestly, if we didn't have Bam Adebayo, I would love to have this guy.
All right.
Number 21, Nick Smith Jr., guard. He's going to Brooklyn.
Okay. Brooklyn getting a guard.
He's a bucket. 6'5". Kind of lacks playmaking a little bit. He does too much.
Okay, so he lacks playmaking, like attempting it, or just the ability to do it?
The ability to do it.
Okay.
Number 22, also Brooklyn. Got Brandon. Gonna butcher his last name. Podziemski. Another overseas guy, I believe. Really good offensive upside. 6'5". He lacks D.
Okay.
And obviously, he can shoot.
Yep.
Number 23, Maxwell Lewis. He's a guard, forward. Talented, 6'7". He one of the players that, during the combine, whenever he was going against other top tier players, he's trying too much, trying to do too much, trying to look like the best prospect. Kind of stocked him down a little bit. And he is talented. Don't get me wrong, he is talented, but not talented enough to be doing what like a KD would be doing, or doing what a Victor would be doing. He's not that talented. Number 23, Portland. Oh wait, yeah. Oh no, I didn't do this one. Yeah, I did. 23, Portland, Maxwell Lewis. Yeah. 24, Sacramento, Chris Murray. They're gonna get the brothers united. Keegan and Chris, welcome to the team. Or not Keegan, but Chris. Welcome to the team.
That's a good story if that does happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's a forward. He's high IQ, 6'8". He needs to work on a shot. Number 25, Memphis, Leonard Miller, forward, guard. And I believe I said he can shoot, which, yep, he can shoot. Athletic, double-double machine. Well, spotty shooter, I should say. But he's a double-double machine. He averaged a double-double in college. I think it was like 11 boards and I want to say 12, 13 points. Number 26 to Indy, you got Jalen Hood. Had him originally going to Memphis, but I was like, no way Memphis is going to draft it because they'll be the troll of the Twitter right there. Jalen Hood, high IQ, 6'4". He has a shot. Not like a steady shot, but he has a shot. Number 27, Charlotte, Jordan Hawkins, guard. Shooter, 6'4". He needs to work on his playmaking in D.
Okay. So you had them getting a guard here.
Yep.
Why was that, considering they have LaMelo and they also have Terry Rozier? Why the guard?
Because I looked at it and I was like, they have Brandon Miller in the draft. I don't know what their set pieces they have as the big positions, and there's not really much, left in the big aspects of this later on in the draft after Derek Lively and Victor. There's not really much centers. There's forwards and stuff like that, but I feel like they would acquire another guard, especially a shooter, to be around LaMelo, which is he's a really good playmaker.
Okay.
Number 28 to Utah, Tristan Vikovic, center.
Okay, so you just said that there's a big drop off from center, and we're talking about Charlotte, the pick after center goes. Why did you not have him going to Charlotte the pick before? I
just don't have a feeling Charlotte is going to draft a big.
No?
I just don't have a feeling for that.
Okay.
And I feel like Utah, him being, I don't want to give but not an American, he's overseas, an overseas guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's 7 foot, he's a shooter, and the only thing he lacks is the feel for the game. And, once he gets in the high pace and whenever, he's going to be struggling at first. But he's going to be, I feel like once he gets the feel for the game, he might turn into one of those unicorn players like Kristaps that people are going to be like, where did this guy come out of? Jokic. Yeah, I feel like he can be one of those guys. I feel like that's the ceiling for him, and that's crazy.
a high ceiling. Yeah.
That's crazy. But I wouldn't say like high ceiling like that. I'll say like 2 steps down because those ceilings are really high.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't feel like Charlotte is going to draft him or draft a center until maybe in the second round.
Okay.
Number 29, Indy. This is the player I got really excited about. Amari Bailey, guard. Played for Sierra Canyon with Bryce, or not Bryce. Oh, well, yeah, with Bryce and Bronny. He's all around 6'5". He just needs to improve on his game, like, you know, kind of how we were talking about these players earlier. He's one of those players that does too much.
Okay.
You know, like Michael Porter. We compared, you know. I'm trying to think of another good comparison, especially as a guard aspect here, for like coming out the draft that people were like trying to draft it later because of there was someone nine Bones Hines for he plays for the Clippers now. Yeah, that was the player. Yeah,
Bones Highland.
Yep. He's good. Bones Highland's good. I feel like he should be a starter in the NBA. And my last pick in the first round to the Wizards got Jamie Jaquez Ford. High IQ, 6'6". And this sounds a little weird. The weak point of his game, it's like kind of funny. He's athletic, but in the game, he doesn't really show his athleticism.
Okay. So he lacks the athleticism in game, but outside of it, he is a good athlete.
Yes.
He just doesn't know how to translate that onto the floor.
Oh yeah, he does sometimes, but he doesn't.
Okay.
And he'd be one of those interesting guys in the NBA. He's like, if like he like kind of Luka. Luka's perfect. Luka's athletic, but the stuff that he does, like NBA wise, it's just like he doesn't look NBA athletic.
Okay, yeah, I can see.
Jokic.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. All right, so that was your mock draft, the first round mock draft for the NBA draft. That is tomorrow as we're recording, the June 22nd. So why don't you go ahead and run down 1 through 30 the names of these players that we're going to be hearing for probably a while to come.
Okay. 1, Victor. 2, Brandon Miller. 3, Scoot. 4, Cam Whitmore. 5, Eamon Thompson. 6, Osir Thompson. 7, Taylor Hendricks. 8, Jarris Walker. 9, Cason Wallace. 10, Grady Dick. 11, Jet Howard. 12, Anthony Black. 13, Drake Whitehead. 14, Keita George. Oh my God, I butchered his name. How'd I butcher his name? Keontae George. 15, Noah Conley. 16, Bilal Coulibaly. 17, Bryce Sensabaugh. 18, Gigi Jackson. 19, Kobe Buffkin. 20, Derek Lively. 21, Nick Smith. 22, Brandon Podominski. 23, Maxwell Lewis. 24, Chris Murray. 25, Leonard Miller. 26, Jalen Hood. 27, Jordan Hawkins. 28, Tristan Vukovic. I have to learn his name. 29, Amari Bailey, and 30, Jamie Jaquez. I need to learn that dude's name, Tristan Vukovic. I'm gonna hear it one day.
I'm sure we're gonna hear it.
Oh, I'm gonna hear it, and I'm gonna learn his name. He's gonna be good. He's gonna be exciting to watch. I can't wait for this draft.
All right, so that was the Sparky's exclusive SparkCast Media mock draft for 2023 NBA draft. So now, after the draft happens in the NBA offseason, you know what's next? NBA free agency. And I have a list of players here who are going to be free agents, or we're anticipating them being free agents. And I just want to get your thoughts on on some of the big named free agents that we have. So, number 1, Kyrie Irving. He was on the Dallas Mavericks. He's now unrestricted free agent. Any thoughts on where Kyrie Irving might go this offseason?
I think he might stay. I think he might stay.
You think no way there's going to be a reuniting of Kyrie and LeBron?
I don't know. I don't see that team panning out if they do. Actually, I kind of do. I actually do see that team panning out. Never mind. I take that back. I do see that team panning out. Kyrie's offensive abilities, and he can shoot. He lacks D, but around them, they have good defensive players. LeBron still play D. AD is terrific at D. AD is arguably like he fights for the defensive player of the year every year.
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers are definitely in the conversation. Mavericks, I think, is another very likely option. The second free agent I have on this list here is James Harden. And this one, I don't know. James Harden, I feel, has a few different ways this could go.
I thought I might have heard him. He might be staying in Philly.
Yeah, I've seen he's going to Houston to reunite with the Rockets.
Yeah.
I've heard he's staying in Philly with Joel Embiid. And, I mean, it's James Harden, though, and the NBA offseason is always crazy. He could go anywhere. And we'll have to see. But James Harden, Kyrie Irving, those are the two big names, I'd say.
If James Harden goes back to Houston, I said this earlier, but I'll take this back, too. I feel like Jalen Green's game would have took a hit if James Harden would have went to Houston, but I disagree on that because I feel like at this point at time, if he goes back to Houston, he knows he's not going for a championship. Obviously, he's going back to Houston because he wants to, go back to Houston.
He wants to make his money and he wants to be the star.
Yeah, and in the process, he can teach Jalen Green. He teach Jalen Green like some of his offensive games. Harden's still talented offensive wise. More likely, like he does draw a lot of fouls and stuff, but he has a really nice like dribble package, really nice game, and I feel like honestly, if he taught Jalen Green's package will only get better, and he will only more exciting to see him.
I agree with that statement. So the next few people I have them classified in tier number 2 for free agents. So we have Russell Westbrook, who is an unrestricted free agent this offseason from the Clippers. We have most likely Chris Paul. He just got traded to the Wizards. He's most likely going to get cut or bought out. So Chris Paul most likely will be a free agent this year. And I also have Fred VanVleet, who declined his $22.8 million player option with the Toronto Raptors. Fred VanVleet will also be unrestricted. So Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Fred VanVleet, tier number 2, and they're all guards.
Will you have tiers for this?
Just off the top of my head, I don't have them like strict tiers for it. No.
Oh, is Draymond on that list?
Draymond is on the list. Yeah.
Okay, I just saw today he declined, or yesterday he declined his offer.
Yeah, Draymond is on this list. I have them coming up.
Sorry for jumping ahead. I just want to make sure because you said tier 2. I feel like Draymond should be tier 2.
I disagree, but what do you think of Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, and Fred VanVleet?
And Draymond, you're throwing them tier 2.
No, I'm not. I'm asking you about these 3 guards.
That'll be for the next episode, I guess. Those 3 guards. So Fred's gone. He's not coming back. I don't blame him.
No, he's definitely going somewhere else, I think.
Who are the other 2?
Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul.
Chris Paul, he's getting bought out or cut, like you said. And Russ, I feel like he's going to stay.
Okay. You think Russ is going to stay with the Clippers? What is your number 1 best fit for Chris Paul? What team do you think would be the best fit for Chris Paul?
That's
That's a nice question. That's because I mean he can make a play at any team. And if the Lakers don't get Kyrie, the Lakers are up there. Shoot. If we don't get Dame, Heat. Drew Holiday, isn't he? Doesn't I thought he was a free agent too, or is that next year?
I believe that's next year. I can fact check that real quick though.
Okay. I was about to say if the Drew Holiday situation, whatever, because I thought Drew Holiday had a situation. Maybe they extended his contract, but I was about to say the Bucks. That would be a good combo right there. But I honestly, LA Heat, ideally the options if things work or how things work around because right now the NBA is kind of crazy with what's going on, rumors wise, what's going on with like off the court incidents and stuff like that. Trades might go down because of off court incidents, which is like I can't say unheard of because I know it's happened before, but I can't say to this extent, which is it is making this offseason crazy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think the NBA offseason is always so much fun because anything could happen.
Yeah,
and I mean
they're not in season. They can do whatever the hell they want until they have to start training again.
Yeah, I mean not just that, but just the NBA is always moving. It's all like you see superstars getting traded like every single year.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really common in other sports. The NBA is very unique in that. And Drew Holiday, he's under contract for this year coming up, and he has a player option next year. So Drew Holiday is under contract for the next year. And then the last three players I have, Draymond Green, all right, Kyle Kuzma, and potentially Chris Middleton, although he has a player option. And this is tier 3 for me because of the unknown factor. Kyle Kuzma, he's been playing very well with the Washington Wizards. We don't know if he's going to translate that to maybe a good team if he signs with a good team. Chris Middleton's coming off of an injury. We don't know if he's going to be playing the same. I can throw Brook Lopez in this tier 2. I didn't have him down here in my notes, but we talked about Brook Lopez earlier. He's coming off a back injury just 18 months ago. A back surgery, rather, just 18 months ago. And, he's still an impactful player, but we don't know because he's getting up there in age. And the reason I have Draymond Green in this tier is I feel, Draymond Green, he needs great players around him to be effective.
I agree.
That's why he's in this tier. Because I think Chris Paul, he can be effective no matter what. Just, depending on the team, is the levels for it. Russell Westbrook, the same thing. Now that I saw him on the Clippers, I think he can be effective. He can, he can get his. But the team, again, it depends on how good the team is around him. But I don't think Draymond Green is in that tier because if he doesn't have a good team around him, I don't think Draymond Green is in the conversation for one of the best players in the NBA.
Yeah, I see your point on that. I do. Reason why I would put Draymond a tier higher is because whenever he is on a championship, you can say championship roster or a good roster, he is a very impactful player. Defensively, not offensively. I mean, offensively with his screens and stuff like that, yes, but not his offensive package with the ball, I should say. But his defensive package, his antics, they're not how Dylan Brooks' antics are. They're effective. He's proven it. He's won 3 rings.
Yeah, and again, the same thing we were talking about earlier with Kevin Durant. He won those rings with Steph Curry.
Wait, 4 rings, right?
Yeah, 4.
4. My bad.
He won those rings with Steph Curry. I think if Draymond leaves, he's going to the Lakers. Otherwise, he's staying with the Warriors. I think those are the only two teams that Draymond will go to. Maybe the Phoenix Suns now. He's not going to a team where he's not going to be competing for a championship, though. And, hey, respect to him for wanting to get a championship. I understand it. Maybe he declined his player option. He wants to go somewhere else because of the Jordan Poole situation, and they just paid Jordan Poole, so that's not an option.
I believe you were the person that told me the other day he might have declined it for because he might be getting more money, or he wants the Warriors to give him more money.
Yeah, what I said the other day was because Draymond Green's player option was $27.5 million. He's not getting that contract. He's not getting $27.5 million. So he either wants out of Golden State or he's going back to Golden State on a cheaper, more affordable deal for the team so that they don't get all these, taxes and the CBA and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's my theory anyway. Maybe he does go to a bad team and he gets $30 million or something. We'll just have to wait and see. But that was all the free agents I had down. You mentioned Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks is also a free agent. Austin Reeves is restricted. I seen a report, though. Lakers are going to match whatever he gets. Same thing with Rui Hachimura. He's also restricted. D'Angelo Russell, he's unrestricted. He's going to go somewhere. A long, long list of players who are free agents. I thought that those few people right there, though, are the ones I wanted to highlight.
I've heard links with Dillon Brooks and the Shanghai Tigers.
Honestly, I know that's been like a joke. I think Dillon Brooks is going to be in the NBA.
He's still going to be in the NBA.
He's still going to be in the NBA,
all
dude.
jokes aside, he's still going to be in the NBA.
He still brings some level of value at this moment. Hey, you know who should come back to the NBA?
Dwight Howard.
Yes. Dwight Howard needs to be back in the NBA. They need to... All right, Dwight, listen to me. You're probably not even hearing this, but if you do, sign with the Phoenix Suns. All right? Take that minimum deal.
They need it. They need a center.
Take that minimum deal and get yourself a ring. You deserve it.
They need a center.
They do need a center. They can trade DeAndre Ayton. They can get more people in, and you sign and you be their center, and you will win a ring. I promise you. Dwight Howard, I love you.
All right, I don't know about the minimum, but at least
or like a veteran exception or something.
Yeah.
Sign a contract with them. You don't deserve to be over. I don't even know where he's playing right now. You come back over. You're still good,
dude. If Dwight signs for the Suns, dude, I think the Suns will be my favorite to win the title next year.
I love Dwight Howard and he's been messing around overseas more, and he's hitting threes now and all this shit.
Coach told him to take it serious.
Yeah, they took his money away because he kept taking it unseriously.
Oh my goodness!
Come play with the NBA again. So that is all the NBA talk we had today, and we're only at an hour and 48 minutes, so not that much talk about the NBA.
We're extending our times.
So I do have a little bit to talk about here with the NFL, but before we get to the NFL, I just want to say shout out to the Las Vegas Golden Knights on winning the Stanley Cup in 5 games, beating the Florida Panthers.
They spanked them last game, too.
Yeah, they did, dude. That was a crazy game. So shout out to them. We love our hockey boys out there. We love that big fight that happened after Game 4.
Oh, my goodness. That was something else.
And
them Florida boys were mad.
They were mad. And hey, I would be too if I got smacked like that. All right. But congratulations to Las Vegas, like I said. Moving into the NFL, we do have a few big storylines here. I want to start with Stefon Diggs skipping mandatory minicamp. Since this happened, he has been to a practice, and we do know a little bit more about it. But Stefon Diggs skipped the first day of mandatory minicamp with the Bills. He showed up at the facility, but did not participate in practice, and he didn't have an injury or anything. So I have a few quotes here. Josh Allen at the press conference says, quote, I think it has more to do than just football, is what I'm basically saying. I think there's the football piece, and then stuff that happens due to football. And I'll just kind of keep it at that. Stefon Diggs, however, went on his Instagram story. He said, I just be letting people cap. If them lies help you sleep better, tell them, big dog. So we've since learned Stefon Diggs has a problem with his role in the Buffalo offense. Obviously, if them lies help you sleep at night, Josh Allen, tell him, big dog. I mean, he didn't say it's Josh Allen in that. We already know who he's talking about.
Yeah.
So he's upset about his role in the offense and his role in the play calling. What are your thoughts now hearing this? I assume for the first time.
Yeah. This is news to me.
Yeah. So what is your thoughts about hearing this with Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen? Maybe a little trouble in paradise here.
I thought they had a bromance. What? That's crazy. I thought because like 2 years ago, I remember like they were like really close, and like whenever Stefon got to Buffalo, they got close, and they were like the dynamic duo everyone was talking about, Josh Allen, Diggs, like, and now hearing that, like, that's crazy.
Well, I will say this: Stefon Diggs in Minnesota did a similar kind of thing. I don't think he ever missed minicamp, though.
No, I don't think he did.
But he was unhappy, and he let it be known he was unhappy, and eventually he left to Buffalo.
I tell you what, my Minnesota Viking friend Dylan would know about that. He's a big Vikings fan.
All right, well we'll have to get the source on that one and see if Stefon Diggs ever missed minicamp. But he did miss minicamp here in Buffalo. And Sean McDermott, the Buffalo Bills head coach, said he was, quote, very concerned at Stefon Diggs missing the first day of camp. But like I said, Diggs did end up showing up for the second day and participating. I think it was more just a statement like, hey, I'm willing to sit out if I don't get my problems fixed.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, I'll do the same exact thing too. If it was like a serious problem, say if like I was Stefon Diggs, Josh Allen, like me and Josh Allen we're going at it, or like the me and the ownership, we're going at it because my contract. Me and if I was going out with Josh Allen, I probably won't sit out for practice because it's a player to player. But if me and the ownership are having a problem with my contract or having a problem, period, about something, and I was a good player, I would sit out. I'll make a statement, and they'd be like, trade. Like if they're like, we want to trade you, okay, see ya. There's being Stefon Diggs. There's 31 other teams that I can play for, and I will either be receiver one, or damn near slight like a receiver two, but damn near a receiver one, and that's only for the special receiver core teams.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing about this is Stefon Diggs' contract is too big. It cannot be traded this year, and probably not even traded next year. And it's not like his production has gone down. He's been producing great.
No, yeah, he produces.
So I really don't know what the problem is. He said he was upset with his role in the offense and in the play calling. So maybe he wants to call plays that gets him the ball more.
Maybe
he wants to call his own routes or something. I honestly have no idea what it could be.
So, like, I forgot about the whole entire D-Hop. The D-Hop didn't even sign yet, has he?
Nope. I have a little bit more on that after we talk about Stefon Diggs.
Yeah, like, if D-Hop goes to Buffalo, which I don't think he will, if he goes to Buffalo, what do you think? What does he think that is going to happen? His role in the offense is going to change. His numbers might go down a little bit. You're adding another special talent. I think they're starting to realize Gabe Davis is good, so they might want to start giving him the ball more. Gabe Davis, if I'm correct, Gabe Davis is kind of a bigger body type guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a little bit bigger than Stefon Diggs.
Yeah, they probably want to get him the ball a little bit more too in the red zone and stuff like that. Stefon Diggs is still a special talent, but I can see that too.
I mean, that actually makes a lot of sense. Maybe they're going over the new playbook for the year, and he was upset that he didn't have as many plays as he did last year that were targeted towards him. I didn't even think about it that way. That's a good point. But you touched on DeAndre Hopkins. So he said he sent a message out to. He said, whatever receiving core I join, I'm going to make your jobs easier. Which that's true. DeAndre Hopkins will make a wide receiver's job easier. But there's also another free agent. It's a running back, Dalvin Cook. I believe Dalvin Cook was the one who said teaming up with DeAndre Hopkins would be dangerous. And it would be, but I mean, they're both free agents. They both have the decision of going where they want to go. The idea that DeAndre Hopkins and Dalvin Cook are going to team up and go to play for a team, we don't know where. We know Dalvin Cook has ties to Miami. If Miami were to get those two, I mean, that's dangerous. Even if it's not Miami, even if it's any other team, that's dangerous.
Because I already know for sure. I think it's already set in stone. Dang, there, like he's going to Miami. Dalvin.
It's not really set in stone.
I feel like for me it is.
Like that's where I believe he's gonna go. But if DeAndre Hopkins says, "Hey, we got a better chance going over here and playing here," Dalvin Cook may be convinced to be like, "Yeah, you know what? I'll go win myself a ring.
You go win yourself a ring in San Francisco."
San Francisco's not winning with their quarterbacks. I'll tell you what.
Brock Purdy, baby.
But speaking of quarterbacks, my Indianapolis Colts have a rookie quarterback, Anthony Richardson, and I just want to take a quick second to read this quote from Anthony Richardson. He said, quote, "This is home, and I'll try to make it home forever." And I just want to make that point. We got our guy. We got our guy forever here in Indianapolis, and I'm excited to win multiple Super Bowls with Anthony Richardson. That's all I had to say.
I know you were talking to me like every day about it, and I love that for you guys.
I mean, we don't know how it's gonna pan out in the NFL right now for Anthony Richardson. But hearing him say that means he's invested in the culture in Indianapolis. And he hasn't gone through a winter yet, though, so we'll have to wait and see about that one.
If I was Anthony Richardson, I would be pissed, and I would say that thing too, because there's 3 teams that didn't pick him.
Yeah, well, 2 teams.
Well, yeah, 2 teams that drafted,
but 3 teams that did pass on him.
Yeah, I would be pissed too.
And
he should have been top 3.
The 2 teams that picked before picked quarterbacks, so he was the 3rd quarterback
C.J.
taken off
Stroud
the board.
and Bryce Young, Houston and Panthers.
Yep.
And you know what? Honestly, this is for the best, because
this is the perfect system for Anthony Richardson.
Perfect system.
We got Shane Steichen, who helped Jalen Hurts take that huge step. The Shane Steichen offense is going to be huge for Anthony Richardson, at least for his rookie year. I mean, this is the perfect, and you don't have to rely on him as a passer all that much. You got Michael Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce, who are big body receivers who can go up and get it. You got Jonathan Taylor back there in the backfield who can relieve that pressure a little bit because he's a top, I believe he's the number 1 running back. He's at least top 3. And you got the offensive line, who had a down year last year, but they also had a statue playing quarterback in Matt Ryan. So what can you do with a guy who's able to move around? I think this is going to be a really good team. I don't know if it's going to pay dividends right away, but this is going to be a good team down the line. And I just wanted to, talk about it because I haven't been able to talk about the Indianapolis Colts on this podcast that much.
No.
Because the NBA is kind of dominating the news right now because it's just starting the offseason. We kind of came in late to the NFL offseason. And I just wanted to talk about it. But speaking of the Colts, I have a list of a few teams here. It's 7 teams to be exact. There's trade rumors in the NFL surrounding Chase Young from the Washington Commanders. And the 7 teams linked to Chase Young as potential suitors are the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, what?
Yeah. I mean, I'll get to it. I'll go through the rest of the teams.
Yeah, go.
The New England Patriots, the San Francisco 49ers,
Let's go.
the Pittsburgh Steelers,
That'd be nasty.
the Seattle Seahawks, the Detroit Lions, and the Chicago Bears. So, yeah. Chase Young may be on the move. That's not 100%. and it's also just a rumor. I just want to say that right now as a disclaimer. But the idea, okay, of getting Chase Young on the Colts
That would be wow.
has me salivating over here, okay?
It has me salivating over here in the 49ers, dude.
Listen.
Him and Nick Bosa?
Let me explain this to you, okay? We got DeForest Buckner in the middle.
Yeah, beast.
We also got Grover Stewart in the middle.
Beast.
We got Kwity Paye on the edge.
Beast.
He hasn't developed quite all the way yet.
He's
but
gonna.
He's still got it in him. All right. You add Chase Young, who is a top pass rusher in the NFL, to that defensive line. We have the cap space and we have the pieces that we can get it done too. It's not like some pipe dream kind of thing. If we get that, that's only going to make our defensive line better. It's only going to make our cornerbacks better. And we just lost Isaiah Rodgers for the betting scandal. He's going to be gone for the whole year. We're assuming. I don't think they've.
Oh, it's a whole year. It's going to be a whole year.
Yeah, they haven't said it yet, but it's a whole year. We have Kenny Moore and rookies as our cornerbacks. If you have a monster defensive line, which we would, you have Shaq Leonard coming back to play linebacker. He's going to make that linebacking core better. That's going to make the defense so much better. I need that to happen.
Zaire Franklin.
Yeah, Zaire Franklin's also one of our linebackers as well, but Shaq Leonard, he makes any linebacker he's with better. So we could have anybody out there. He's going to make them better. So, what were the other teams? I don't even know. I only care about the Colts.
Niners were one of them.
Niners, Patriots, Steelers, Seahawks, Lions, Bears.
Yeah, Steelers, Niners, and Colts would be nasty. Out of all those teams you said. Steelers, because Steelers have a really good defense, and it always has good defense. And Niners, they have a great defense. Then Nick Bosa, we just got Jamal Hargrave or Javon Hargrave.
Javon Hargrave, yeah.
You know, Chase Young, add on that. That's Nick Bosa and Chase Young. That's unheard of to have on the defensive end.
And I also want to say the Detroit Lions also makes a lot of sense as well. They have trouble on defense, and if you get a surefire defensive end, it's going to help. Like I said, it's going to help everybody because that's such an important position. That's, in my opinion, the second most important position in football after quarterback.
Left end?
I mean, I think he's right end.
Right.
But he could play. I mean, he could play.
Yeah,
either.
he could play any, but
he could even line up in the middle if you need him to. And I don't know if I said this or not, but I got this list from CBS on NFL. So this is not my list of teams that were suitors, but if Chase Young does get traded, that would be pretty crazy.
that would flip like dang near like a average defense around.
Yeah, it would. He's a game changer, and if somebody does end up trading for him, I mean, I know he's had his ups and downs so far in the NFL, but
Has he he's had double sack seasons, hasn't he?
oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a beast.
I think the problem with Washington and why they want to potentially get rid of him is money.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what the big issue is.
He probably has 1 year left on his contract.
Yeah, I think that's the big issue is money, and also, they're kind of they're in purgatory right now. Is Sam Howell the guy? Don't know. Without a quarterback, you're not getting far. Look at the Colts. They got to the playoffs with Phil Rivers, and then we lost the wild card. All right, Phil Rivers retires. We go out and get Carson Wentz. And meanwhile, we have a good team, like a borderline great team everywhere else except for quarterback. We missed the playoffs by one game with Carson Wentz, and then we have the 4th overall pick with Matt Ryan. So, without a quarterback, you can't really win. And you see that with the Niners as well.
Yep.
They haven't really had a game-changing quarterback, and they continue to lose, even though they've had better success than the Colts have.
So we cannot say that because, I mean, Purdy did get hurt in that championship game.
You guys were losing that game anyway.
But we weren't down by that much yet.
You were losing that game.
You never know. I feel like, and like this is where our big argument is with Purdy. You don't think that he could lead a team to a ring. I feel like, I feel the same way, but I don't at the same time because we both talked about Kyle Shanahan. He's a great coach, you know, and like Purdy, I feel like Purdy's perfect for him and the system. It sucks about what Trey Lance, maybe, he does get the number one spot. You never know. There's this big fight going on in San Francisco about who's going to be the number one quarterback, because now they throw Sam Darnold in there. I don't like Sam Darnold, to be honest, but I feel like Sam Darnold, they shouldn't have even signed Sam Darnold, but I get with the whole entire quarterback situation, you want kind of a experienced quarterback that, hey, Purdy's not doing good. Trey Lance is doing terrible during practices. Sam Darnold, you got to go when you're experienced. I feel like that's why we got him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a reason why you got him, and also it may speak to the level of confidence that they have in Trey Lance, and maybe maybe they're not super optimistic about Brock Purdy's injury. Although we heard today from Adam Schefter on the Pat McAfee show, well, it happened yesterday, but we saw the clip today that Brock Purdy's recovery was doing well. But the reason I said, it's not, I don't think Brock Purdy can lead a team to a win, is that I think he got carried by how good the team was, and you're not going to be able to keep that team together for a long time. And I think before Brock Purdy can lead a team there, he has a few more years to go and develop. So that's why I don't think Brock Purdy is the guy for San Francisco.
And this is like what we talk about damn there all day. I believe he is. And we will talk about this all day. Trust me.
Yeah, we would, but we are over 2 hours, so
2 hour special.
Yeah, the 2 hour special on our third episode.
Hey, you said you want to go up to 4 hours at one point.
Hey, dude, I'll go 24 hours. I don't care. We can talk about this all day.
You just need to take breaks and get up from the stool. Yeah.
All right. Follow us on all social media, including Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at SparkCast Media. Follow us wherever you find your favorite podcast and leave a 5-star review. That's only going to help us out. And Brian, send us home.
Thank you for watching SparkCast Media. And remember, boys, have fun, but stay protected.